All right. We are at 7 o'clock. Welcome everybody to Town Council Meeting on March 11th, 2025. I've asked Brad if he'd lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. You all stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have a motion to approve the agenda. By Wayne. Second by Teresa. Any further discussion? Not all in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, do we have a motion for approval of the minutes from February 11th, 2025? Motion by Wayne,
I second it.
second by Teresa. Any further discussion on this?
All the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, do I have a motion to approve the accounts payable and business license payroll? Motion by Teresa. You have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Wayne. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We have any awards or public recognition? Okay,
Girls took second state. Basketball,
that's true.
wasted consolation,
That is true.
first at regions.
True. That's pretty good feat. Go ahead.
Wrestlers took fourth at state as well.
Nice. We had a couple kids. Placed pretty high in it too.
We had three of them that took third, I believe. Couple fours and a couple sixth. And I think
1 second.
1 second, yeah.
Congratulations.
Did you say first that you lost them once they can't stay for the months?
The other ones are
I'd like to recognize our two public works, Mike and Melanie, for bailing me out the last couple of times I've been broke down. And on above and beyond, the daughter to help me out, so I want to recommend you for that.
And I'd like to recognize Bentley as well. I spent Wednesday over in Marbleton with the Marbleton crew. And the girls said if we don't treat him nice, they will spirit him away. He has won the hearts of everybody over there, and he's a hard worker, and he pays attention, and he's willing to learn, and they really think a lot of him. Thank you for representing Cokeville as well as yourself, as well as you do.
nothing else. Any unfinished business? Couldn't think of anything. What new business? Those are the ordinances and stuff.
Just a reminder of the recording.
Well, thank you. I do need to remind you that we're on Zoom. So when we do have public comment and things like that, we'll ask come to the podium. So maybe hopefully people can hear it. I don't know. Other than that, we're in the public comment. Do we have any public comment today? Go ahead. Sorry.
I have a concern. My propane tank sits along the side of the street as you're going towards the elementary school. And as of right now, there's like 6 feet of snow plowed out from where the gutter is. And it's over 3 feet deep and I need propane. And so they're not gonna be able to deliver my propane because the city has plowed that area and they don't plow that right to the gutter. So I have a problem with getting my propane filled. So if I run out of propane, I mean, that's not a good thing. And this happens all the time. In December, I took my plow out there and I tried to plow it myself. And I ended up breaking the cable on my winch and then had to have somebody fix that. So I don't think that's my responsibility to plow the city street so that the propane company can come deliver my propane. And another concern I have is around the fire hydrants, that they plow the snow up around the fire hydrants. And is that my responsibility? That's city property where that fire hydrant sit. Do I have to go out there and shovel that myself? Because I've had to do that this winter too, to keep the fire hydrant clear. So that if there's a fire in my house, then they can get to that. So those are my concerns.
Mike, what does that street look like? Are we following the curb or?
As much as we can. As it builds up, you can't get it right to the curb. It's gonna always, it always has, it always will build out.
Can we make her a path there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then the fire hydrants. Typically, what's the protocol on those, you know?
If they get bad enough, we'll go around and clean them. I thought our pile was past north of the fire hydrants, but we'll look at it. We'll go around, and check all the hydrants and make sure they're clean.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? We're getting quick tonight, nobody has any comments. I like not being in trouble, just so you guys know. Okay, we are into resolutions and ordinances. We are in the right stack here. All right, looks like, so I wanted to just go over this real quick. I put a little kind of flow chart of how emotions could work with doing these things. And this is mostly to help Jody to track what we're doing and then us to know exactly what we're doing. That makes sense. So the red, what's in red on top kind of opens the discussion on your initial thing, and then you go through those blue steps. On occasion, which I doubt we'll see, you'll have some occasion where you'll have to go through some green stuff, but I doubt we'll see that too often. And then closing of the motion, basically, and the following your other members. If that makes sense. So, that being said, we are on the second reading of ordinance 25-01, and I will entertain a motion.
There hasn't been any changes or anything, has there?
Mine, George.
Mine either. It looked about the same. I know that we intended this and that moves out that one statute as written. And there's chapter 5 offenses involving minors.
This is police.
You
Okay.
said-
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
police regulation, sorry. Okay, do I have a second?
I second
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Could you just give us a brief what these ordinances is about?
Yeah.
Give me the number, but I don't tell me about.
I would, yeah. So this ordinance is basically anything involving a minor, so it's like alcohol, tobacco, those kinds of things that there's already a state statute on. And all we're doing is just adopting the state statute to put us in line with that. So hopefully we're not in contradiction with this. We have any further discussion on that?
Teresa, is that?
Okay, discussion's been open. We have a motion to approve or deny or what the.
What was the original motion?
Yeah, what was the,
That we accept this chapter 5 offenses involving minors.
It's on the approval already.
so
Second reason.
that's right. I'll call the question then. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So what I'd like to see, instead of going right into an approval, let's have a motion to for discuss the proposal. And so we can hash out any things that need to be hashed out and then go into a motion to approve or table or what have you. Does that make sense?
Make sense.
I have a motion, if it's all right.
Okay.
I motion to discuss roll call voting for all things to be voted upon.
That's not on the agenda.
It's true. Well, I just want to discuss it.
Can we get through the red items we have here?
I probably should have thrown it under new business. That's my fault. Okay, that's fine.
Do I have a motion for the second reading of ordinance 25-02?
This one, there is changes because of the dates you guys wanted me to add into it. So those dates were added into.
So do we need to?
But they were added into it on the first reading, right?
I think we just hand read them.
We handed them in on the first reading,
So
so
now this one is.
this is the second reading, it's fine, we let it out.
Okay,
We need to read it, because I can't.
We just need to, we only have to read them on the third reading, but we have to do. We've had a request to give a general explanation, so
Let me do that.
we have a motion to discuss.
I move that we discuss this offenses against public safety, chapter 3, use of fireworks prohibited.
Do I have a second? Motion by Teresa, second by Charles. It's open for discussion. This just for the public. This is the use of fireworks.
we still don't,
Not for this. This is just to open the discussion.
no, I was just following your thing.
There's no vote on that part. This is just fireworks in the use of town. Basically, they've opened up a little bit more times than they can be used. Than what's been in the past, so Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, Christmas. Sorry, I skipped one there, and New Year's Day. July 4th and 24th and New Year's Eve, they're allowed to be used till 12:30 AM. As opposed to 11 PM. Any further discussion or any additional amendments or changes we want to make to this?
Just so, you know, I voted against this last time and I'll vote against it again. I'm against the fireworks because there's big trees around a lot of homes here. I've talked to my neighbors and stuff. Just so warning you ahead of time, if there's ever a fire caused by fireworks in a tree, burn something down, there will be a lawsuit. Just so you know ahead of time.
Do we need to adjust this so that it shows no liability?
Our attorney.
Yeah, let's ask our attorney.
You can ask me anything you want.
If you have someone using legal item and creates private, damages on private property, would the city be liable for that?
Apologize, I wasn't listening real closely to the conversation, Councilman Dayton. So if somebody's on private or public property, on private,
If they're,
Inside the boundaries.
yeah, using fireworks that creates damage to private property, is the city liable for that? Is that we're the ones creating the ordinances?
no, but there's no case law that says that you'll be liable for not creating a law. And even with your law enforcement, there's very few cases that till recently, even on a failure to act or failure to investigate. So what you currently have a fireworks use. Okay. But, the person, the only time I could imagine the town would be liable is that if it's prohibited by your ordinance, you made a standard, then, and you knowingly allowed it, like, the chief went over and said, hey, let me help you light that, and was an active participant, but without that, I don't see an avenue that the town would be liable.
It is a concern, and I agree with Wayne in that we have because there's people that go out on the football field and set those things off, and in the street where we live, and they're in our trees and they zoom over our house and land in the flowers, and so it is a concern. They set them off and everything, but they don't clean them up, but they do get caught in our trees, in our two big trees in our yard. So, and on a dry year, I can see where it would be a huge concern.
The closest, just remember the young lady at the fair years ago, that the food truck blew up and she was burned really bad. Well, I defended the county on that, but one of the issues was they had made a claim that the county hadn't passed certain ordinances to protect against something like that, and the case law was clear that they really don't hold government entities liable for not doing something like that, an omission, because you can imagine the slippery slide where that would go. So, and you as a governmental entity under the governmental act can only be held liable for one of the enumerated exceptions. You have immunity, so yeah, on private property with that immunity, 11th Amendment immunity, they wouldn't even be able to get out of the gate. With less, for example, in your park, somebody's lighting fireworks down there and you're allowing it. That's running a park is one of the enumerated exceptions. There could be something there, but again, you're gonna have to be aware of it and you're gonna have to be allowing it. So.
Right.
There's opening. But. Any further discussion? Do you want to make any changes to this? That was probably.
So, sometimes I get confused on how to do it. We'll talk about it.
So, John, what I want to clear is if it's a private individual and they're lighting and it goes into private ground and causes damages.
You, unless somehow the town's actively involved in that.
But I mean, just totally getting the town out of it. This is a private
They
individual,
could have a civil matter.
because we've got, let everybody in town licensed.
Right.
And you don't know where they're gonna go. And I've got trees surrounding my house, the neighbors got trees surrounding mine, and that's just what I'm getting at. One lands in those trees, those big trees go up. So does our house. So,
You know, you'd have a claim against certainly whoever did it, but as far as the town goes.
Right.
Yeah.
right. But I just, yeah, clear that.
Yeah, I'm trying to search my brain for any kind of exception to that, but you see a lot of it in a lot of claims like that under business regulations like that, thing like you, the town of Cokeville, should have regulated this business more or something, and that's not a part of that doesn't get around the immunity, and courts haven't recognized it, so. The word I'm looking for is duty. To sue somebody on something like that would be, you've got to establish under negligence a duty, a lawful duty either created by common law or statute. So unless like there's a statute, Wyoming statute that says under cities and towns, every town will prohibit fireworks. And you said, no, we're going to be a sanctuary fireworks city, or something of that nature. And even that, it's hard to, because there's no duty on you to prohibit private individuals from lighting fireworks. Because they're not prohibited in the state of Wyoming. You can make it more restrictive, but there's no duty there to do it.
So like, for instance, what happened last summer here, some kids were lighting fireworks down behind the city shop and started a fire there and it burned up a bunch of ground there and got in private ground where my boys' equipment, you had a tractor, a rake, and a trailer and stuff there, and a big pallet full of baling twine. It torched that up, and it very easily could have burnt that tractor right to the ground. Thank goodness for a law enforcement officer that went jumping in there and risked his own skin to just kick ground around, dirt around, you know, to get it out. But it was close. It could have very easily gotten out of control and burned up some equipment. What would have happened then?
So, right, the town doesn't know anything about it. It's just kids doing it. So there's no duty. But on the other hand, the mayor goes down there the day before and sees the kids lighting fireworks and says, okay, this is town property, we're gonna let you do it. Then he's given permission to do it, then maybe we've created a standard where the town could be liable for it. But you don't have a duty to, it's like law enforcement if they go on break, right? Because they or they're between shifts and a drunk driver runs into your house. Well, the town can't be held liable because you didn't have an officer out there on that. So there has to be some kind of duty that they can point to. And if you don't have any knowledge, you're not allowing it on or city property. You're not maybe, doing the fireworks yourself, then there's just no duty on your part as a town. So. It's not real good help, but it's what.
Basically, you're telling me everything can burn all the hell and you're screwed, right?
Well, you can sue the person.
You can do it, you can have a civil case, you may or may not go.
Right.
But what an attorney would do is try to establish they know that they would try to get around that. They try to establish that those kids have been there numerous times. There've been a bunch of complaints and the town never did anything about it. So the fact that was allowing it, but unless you have some kind of history like that, you're not going to.
So your issue isn't necessarily city liability, it's just the general public
Right.
safety question.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Good. You were saying something before you started, didn't
No, it's fine, because, I just wondered if we were getting a little tiny bit off track, thinking about town responsibility, when it's neighbor versus neighbor, if something like that happened. And I know because I've done it, when the kids have been out there setting off things in the road, even a few blocks, a few houses away, it still comes over. So I guess and I've asked them, okay, guys, can you take it away from the houses a little bit? But that's just the way they've done it forever. So, I can understand where you're coming from. And so it's, I guess you just, as an individual property owner, just have to go visit with your neighbors and say, okay, I know the kids are gonna be doing fireworks this year. Let's see if we can keep those fireworks from opening in our yard. So, would that make sense?
you? Yeah.
Okay, that's all I was gonna say.
We don't have any amendments. We have a motion to approve this.
I already did, but we can do it again.
Yeah.
Didn't I do it? Oh, we just started.
I'll motion to approve.
Yeah.
I'll motion to approve the ordinance 2502 for a second.
I second it.
Motion by Brad, second by Teresa. All that said, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Not here.
Motion carries. One in favor, one against. Do I have a motion to discuss the first reading of 2504?
I motion that we discuss 2504.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion by Brad, second by Teresa. Open for discussion. This is an ordinance for motor codes that have good speed. In our current ordinances, basically, any road that's in town that's not already marked something else is 20 miles per hour. And then there's a section B that is adopting 31-5-301 as amended. Hereby adopted by reference and the corporation is set forth therein.
Can I explain why that is?
Yes, please.
So the reason why it is because when we're citing people anywhere on the highway in town or anything, we're citing the city ordinance. In our computer system, it ties to the state statute. In our ordinance, it doesn't tie to the state statute. So realistically, maybe the attorney can close his ears right now. If somebody would really fight it, because we're citing 6-112, they can come and say, I wasn't doing 20, yeah, I wasn't violating this ordinance because it only talks about 20 mile an hour. So that's adopting the state statute in the ordinance covers if anybody tries to bind it down the road.
So explain how they would fight it.
They could fight it because, ordinance, if they went and read the ordinance, it doesn't talk about
About the state statute.
really the state statute. Just covering, make sure that it covers the state statute. In the past, they would cite the state statute, but with our new citation system, we cite the city ordinance. And in the system, it's tied to the state statute. So I'm trying to make it so the ordinance follows along with that, so that if anybody ever tried to find, say we're citing under 35 or 31-5-301,
So it gives it a little bit of blanket coverage that way.
Yeah, this makes it so if someone really tried finding court, it wouldn't get off on maybe just a technicality because it's not specified.
Making John's life easier too.
Yeah.
I got a comment.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we're gonna change this. We're gonna do 3 readings. Let's minimize all the wordiness in the speed portion. It's pretty wordy. Section A. I think we could just say something as simple as the speed limit in the town of Cookville is 20 miles an hour on all streets except Main Street and certain posted areas, including but not limited to school zones, hospital zones, or troop zones. The speed limit in these areas will be posted. Emergency vehicles responding to calls are exempt from these limits. Then just move down to Wyoming statute 31,531, including any future amendments, and is adopted by reference. Just makes it easier to read and very simple for most people.
Well, it's pretty well self-explanatory the way it is. Most people. I,
If we're in the middle of making changes to make it more legible, this is the time to do it. We're in the middle of doing 3 readings. You can make it basically 3 sentences instead of 15 that are there. Don't be beating my screen.
There was question, this is, this is.
Just where I-
Basic. I thought, it's the speed, is that right?
So the black portion.
Yeah.
Was passed in 2020.
Okay.
In December of 2020, it's 20-06 ordinance. That was passed in 2020. So the black portion is the current ordinance as it sits. So I didn't change anything except that in the A2. So, I'm with Brad, if you want to make changes now, would be a good time to change it. If you guys want to keep it the same, then that's up to you guys.
I remember some of the discussion,
It was a discussion, wasn't it?
yeah. But it was pretty lengthy. Part of the reason why it was taken to 20 miles an hour in basically all the town is to be able to limit having to buy signs for the entire town. Save some expense. And at that time, we were getting a lot of complaints about kids coming and going from schools and going pretty fast, so. In order to kind of help curb that, that's what the solution was at the time. Am I saying that's the correct solution? No, but. Nevertheless, that's how it ended up, so.
My suggestion wasn't to change the speed, it was just to make it more legible and easier to read.
Yeah, and I don't remember how, we just changed the numbers and I think it's all was already in there. And all we did is change the numbers. But I'd have to go back in the records to be quite honest with you on that one.
But
I think that
it wouldn't matter.
just.
Yeah.
I think there were a couple other words that changed.
Yeah. So we'd be basically changing the original kind of sort of ordinance, but it would be the first reading anyway. We decided to do that, but
You're just basically saying the exact same thing
that's where
in 3 sentences versus 15 sentences.
Yeah, personally, I don't care how it reads as long as it ends up with a result that we can
Well,
utilize.
yeah, and if the town is interested in the speed to be different, they can come in any of these readings and let us know.
Well, don't they have to have an engineer or whatever to change the speed?
change the speed,
Like we
yeah.
did before.
You gotta have a traffic study.
You could make it less. The the state statute that it's referring to, normal residential rural areas are 30 miles. No, all I'm stating is, I don't think we're already where we are. You don't need a new reading. Or even if you went to 25, you don't need a new reading. I mean, you're still under what the state is saying.
So there is a statute, Brad, I know that. Found that one, the statute 315303 does give the local council the authority to change anything in their jurisdiction. Minus, we can't change the highway
Right.
without the superintendent's.
Well, I'm agreeing with it. I'm just saying it's referencing the maximum speed for a residential area. And it's 30 miles an hour. It's the state law.
Yeah.
So we can make it anywhere from 30 and lower. So if we decide we want it at 25 or whatever, or we don't want to touch it, we just want to. Then we can do whatever. Just my only comment is we could make that read a lot better than what it is. We're already in the middle of the region, so we might as well. I'm not at all proposing a different speed limit. I'm just saying, just make it simple.
I think simple is great, but what I would caution is making sure that these guys can utilize it.
That the attorney could defend it.
Huh?
That your attorney could defend it.
Great, we'll give it to our lawyer and he can read it and see if it's the.
That's the only thing I'm saying.
Yeah, let's do it.
And my comment is just whatever the council wants to do is fine with me. But on A, it looks like there's different things being addressed, different concerns. You know, the exempt emergency vehicles, looks like there's some concern about the speed by schools, churches.
Which is already 20 miles an hour.
So I wonder if maybe, you know, but in the first sentence, it was 20. But, or does it indicate that it's 20, but the idea is that if you had, I guess you could go less than that if there was posted signs. Signs conforming to provisions thereof, but you could make a lot of, you could just, at a minimum, you could pull out some of those concerns and make them like an A1, A2, A3. Or whatever you want to do.
Do you mind reading that?
Yeah, let me read it. The speed limit in the town of Cokeville is 20 miles per hour on all streets except for Main Street and certain posted areas, including but not limited to school zones, hospital zones, and church zones. The speed limit in these areas will be posted. Emergency, now we don't have to say will be posted, can be posted. And then emergency vehicles responding to calls are exempted from these limits. And that, and then the other portion is just on part B. It's just to make it just simplistic. It says Wyoming State Statute 31-5-301, comma, including any future amendments, is adopted by reference. I think it was when it was first written, I bet it was 30 mile an hour. And this other stuff that's jarbled in there is because the school zone, it's going to be 20 mile an hour posted. The whole town's already 20. It's a lot of extra jarble for no reason.
Yeah, and I remember, so I do remember that the section of County Road 207 was going to be included in there.
Right.
That was a big deal. That I still don't understand, but that's.
Is 207 the one that heads out to the west side?
Yeah, basically in front of Fred's house. We only have about 400 feet of the road.
You know, the county road starts out just right at the Lagoon Road.
Yeah.
We have jurisdiction over the speed of those people. Right.
But we're not allowed to adjust that speed on that particular one because it's capped. Correct?
We can't adjust state highway. We can adjust anything within our town limits, except for state highway. So Main Street from this side of the tracks and Highway 30 and then,
Yeah.
whatever that is
Yeah.
on that side. 252,
I just
231,
There.
231, whatever it is. You know, Smith Fork Road, whatever it is.
So what do you remember about that 207 then?
So there was a big deal about when we changed it to 20 miles an hour, that section of road wasn't posted as.
Well, the thing was, the county, we had some new guys come in and put a sign in, and they put the sign in the wrong place. They put the county sign in on city ground, in the city limit.
Yeah, it was 45. But the thing that I don't understand about that section of County Road 207 is we have 30 mile an hour going down Main Street. You turn that corner there and you all of a sudden turn to 40 mile an hour.
Yeah.
That's what I never understood about that. They're going into a 45 mile an hour, then on to that. It didn't make sense to me to have that. The argument was that the people coming off of Colette were going 20 mile an hour, but they have a sign that they have to stop at before they proceed into the next. Going off Main Street, they don't.
I think there is.
There is a stop sign right there. There are three stop signs.
Three-way.
Yeah,
It's a three-way.
that really didn't make sense to me for that trend, 400 feet.
And almost should be 30 as well.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So you'd have to get a sign. No, yeah, you would.
There is a sign there already.
There-
It's like down the roadways.
Yeah, and it's posted at 20.
But you turn,
I just
you
tried to live
turn
on
on Colette there and go north, there's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
If you don't remember,
I can't remember.
previous mayor wanted that sign put up,
That's right. That's exactly right.
and asked
And
Public
that's
Works to put it up, and so we put it up and asked you to put up at 20 miles an hour there.
That's right.
Well, that's why I got put up there.
We can be moved.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You could move it around the corner.
if we have a 30 mile an hour sign, you can put a 30 miles an hour sign there.
You're fine.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that in this this is. That section A has got a lot of confusion in the period because of kind of the way we are laid out.
I think that's what Councilman.
Yeah, that's,
That's what I'm saying. It needs to be.
I'm just trying to, if we're gonna iron some stuff out, we might as well iron it all out.
so do we have time to do this whole thing tonight, or can we table this and have a work session and then
You can make a motion for whatever you think.
I would like to make a motion that this is tabled, and we go through this and we work with.
I don't think we need to table it as much as just make some changes, set it for a second.
Motion. She motion.
We were already in motion before.
We're in a motion, that's a motion you can make within this discussion.
The discussion.
All right.
So if she has a second, then we can table it. If she doesn't have a second, then that motion dies.
In my estimation, I think tabling it would give us an opportunity to sit down and get copies of the different wording and make sure that it's where it needs to be. That's just.
Can we do both? Sounds like we want to do this for ease of prosecution or whatever.
Right.
We have 3
We
readings.
got three.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
we have
if we
3
could-
readings. That's right.
So if we table it, then we have to wait till next time to have
Start first
reading.
That's
That's why
right.
we do the first, approve the first reading and then just work it out in the next, between now and the eighth reading. That's an option.
See if you start on.
We can always just vote no on
Have to have final fully read. That's why you have 3 readings, so you can make amendments on an ordinance.
Right. So then maybe we don't need to table it, but we are taking a whole lot of time discussing it, so when we still got other things on the agenda. So, you know. What does everybody think? We need to do something.
You got a motion from the floor.
We got to discuss and.
Is there
Yeah,
a second to
and
table it? If not,
it was to table it.
I deem the motion to table it dead.
And I'll make a motion to approve this.
So that motion failed.
Right.
I'm ready.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 25-04 on the first reading. Recognizing
Amendments are needed.
that we need some refinement.
Do I have a second for that motion to approve?
I second it.
Further discussion or concern? If not, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Nay. See, no problem with the way it is.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion for the first reading of 25-05?
Make a motion to discuss and recommend that we table it, and if we could have an executive session at the very end, just being on the same page as to why we're doing that.
So let's do one of those at a time, so we can do a motion to discuss. And do I have a second to discuss it?
I second it.
So a motion to discuss by Charles, a second by Teresa. It's open for discussion. Then you can make your vote.
Let's make a motion that we table it, because we have some new information. And can discuss it. Whitlow. You know, make a motion for that executive session. We just have a brief discussion, then it'll be an executive session to discuss the ordinance. But we're gonna be tabling now.
Yeah, that's fine. We have a motion to table it. Just for the public's, before we go into that, for the public's awareness, this ordinance is a ordinance to address nuisances in the town.
So I'll get fired after tonight, but I don't believe you have the authority to go into executive on this. It's not personnel. It's not land. It's not a potential lawsuit. So under the statute, you can't go into executive and discuss it. Sorry, I probably should
But there
leave.
is potential of us losing an easement.
So
That's kind of why I wanted to go into executive session to discuss this. With one light item that's on this nuisance order. That's kind of why I wanted to do that.
Can you go into it? I'm just curious on this. Can you go to an executive session and then you say, no, this isn't something that can be under this?
yeah, because
And then we can come back out and talk.
yeah, because we're gonna go in and talk legal with the potential of lawsuit. And then we'll discuss it and
Until
then
it's not, then we'll come out and discuss it.
Not
The thing is, it's not a potential of a lawsuit.
this,
In fact, we can open it up right here. We can just, and I'll open it up if you want.
that's fine.
Okay, so there's a motion.
We have a
Motion to table,
table, but there's no second.
No, so
so it died.
I'll be that motion dead.
Okay, what I'm getting at is on section 2, prohibited conditions where it says 2.2, no owner shall allow a vacant building to become dilapidated or remain in a dilapidated condition. What I am getting at is the old drugstore, which is Fred Roberts. There's been a lot of people who approach me, that needs to come in because it's unsafe, which it is, but right now, we're in a battle with them. Well, not a battle, we just haven't got an agreement discussed for an easement on the road that goes down to our lagoon system. And I think if we approach this and he sees it, which he may say it unthinkable now, I get, you know, it could throw a kibosh to this whole thing, just getting access down there. That's kind of why I wanted to.
the only thing and that's a really good concern. But the power, the town of Cookville, which no one likes to exercise it, has the power of eminent domain. So if you need a easement down there and somebody's just like the YDOT, and it's for the health, safety and public of the citizens of Cookville, and you have someone that's not doing it, then the town can use eminent domain, pay the fair market value and get the easement. So I guess my response is, as a good neighbor, always negotiate in good faith, but also remember that you have powers that should be exercised cautiously, but sometimes you have to use them. Like when the state builds a highway, they try to negotiate, and every once in a while, they have to just, use eminent domain to get a right of it. So,
Yeah, you go into eminent domain, that could go in to years.
I don't,
And the thing is, I honestly don't think the town of Cokeville wants to get into a battle with Fred Roberts.
that's why you guys get paid all that money to be elected official.
That's just my concern. That's the concern I have.
Can I ask you,
That's what the legislative body weighs, all of that and the interest of it. My role is to simply tell you what you can or can't do legally.
And I appreciate that.
so I guess just people who've been on here before, why is this easement not been moved forward? What is his concern? Why is he not willing? What has been brought to us before?
Well, the fence is part of it.
The fence is part of it.
There's been, I don't know the full history, obviously, but Tim's got a pretty good idea that he's a part of it.
Tim, would you come up and address this for us?
I have to get on TV.
Yeah, you do.
If I wanted to be on TV, I would have been an actor.
I'm asking you, would you be?
Thanks, Tim.
I think it could be in that.
Kevin has that.
What are the questions? 10, 15. We started this and really what happened when that sewer lagoon, when it was originally done, like everything in Cokeville, the survey was off. So
Back in the sixties, right?
it was before that.
Yeah, it was the original one, yeah, okay.
My grandpa gave the town the lagoon. But when they signed it off, they went off a township section instead of off a lot. And so for probably that 50, 60 years, the sewer's actually been on our property. And I've got property all around there. Well, Fred's got property all around there too. And so the surveys aren't right. I went in there and I signed, we got everything straightened out on mine. I think with the attorney at the time, they put ours and Fred's together. And Fred didn't sign, the fence was one of the issues. I think they wanted to have water, a tap there as well. And so that never got signed as far as I'm aware with Fred. I'd like to get it done because I'd like to trade because, and it's not just that the surveys are off in the county, the surveys are off in the town, the surveys everywhere are off. And so just to straighten it up, so right on the fence line, we'd like to get all that straightened out. And I'd like to work that out with Fred. Fred and I will trade ground, but I can't do that until the town's correct, recorded our transaction, because then I have to call out those lots between Fred and I. And so that's what I know there. I don't know everything about what the deal was. But I know the fence is definitely an issue, and I think he's brought that to their attention. I think when he was doing it, he told them this wasn't gonna work, and part of it is it's narrow, you plow snow, the fence comes down, but you have to, and there's no place else for it to go, so. Any other questions that I can help you with?
So how, you said you're waiting for the town.
I signed my portion over to the town, and the town and I have traded ground.
Okay.
But it hasn't been recorded because they put it all on one deal with me and Fred and the town. And so my portion of it has never been recorded. And until it gets recorded, I can't do my trade with Fred because it's not in the county courthouse.
So there's some concern with like the fence. Fred has some concern with the fence. I think we got the water tap for him already.
Right.
Space on it, right?
When the plant was built, we put taps in.
Yeah. So we have that part, but the fence he wants redone. And then,
Is there something wrong with the fence now?
yeah, it's something around.
Yeah, it's some kind of ground.
So we,
Or what type of fence? Okay, what type of fence is he asking for?
he's asking for a wood post fence instead of a steel post fence, which is why that fence is sunk in the ground so easily is that it's on a steel post.
So.
Is there, am I good?
You're good.
Thanks, Tim.
So basically, we kind of getting off in the weeds here a little bit, but I'll try to bring this back. A little bit. He has some concerns that he's brought up that we've got to find avenues to correct. Part of it is the fence, but part of it is the way that it was legally wrote. I think I've sent them to you. The easement, the way they're written to have John review them, make sure we're on our side is good before we send them back over to Fred again to see what he has to flag on. But. So we're kind of in that boat, but. The same token is. Do I have concerns of upsetting people with this ordinance? Yes. But it's not just. One person. That is gonna possibly be.
No, there's gonna be several that are gonna be affected by this, but that right there is why I'm kind of reluctant to go through this right now until we get that signed over, that easement signed over. Because you make someone mad, you can.
And I feel like I can understand that concern until we get the legal portion taken care of.
Albert, you had a comment, you wanna come up?
Oh, I just, you can hear me from here. I just want to know who decides it's a nuisance? Our attorney or you guys, or who even have decide something around town's a nuisance?
It's not been established yet. That I'm aware of.
What's the question?
Nothing yet until we get this.
We haven't
Who's
finalized.
gonna decide these things?
I guess overtly, they come up with definitions for purposes of that would define what is an ordinance, what is a nuisance.
I understand that. I just wondered if you guys can put in charge of looking around town saying it's a nuisance.
I have a comment. So 2 years ago, when this came up again, it was suggested that we have a third party person from another location to come and drive through the town and follow the ordinance of it, and then notify the city, and the city then notifies you. That was what a suggestion was. Now, nothing has been done from it since that literal day we talked about it.
That I was here.
Well,
So-
and you remember, Elberly, when Rosa asked me to go through every street, every alley, everything with my notebook and write down properties and everything and see how many places met or did not meet the parameters that she felt that they needed to. And I did, and when I brought them back to where it was like 10-15% of the homes and businesses in this community were nuisances by those definitions that she had.
Well, that's why I say, when you start coming on people's private property to check things,
Now,
We never did.
it'll be on the
well, that's argument we got in the road at that time.
That's what we did, you're right.
that this is
She can
the,
go anywhere she wants, well, she ain't there no more, but I'm saying, you better be careful what you're stepping on.
Yeah, that's exactly what it did last time.
Just,
You come around nosing on my property, you're gonna be in trouble.
if I can share that this is the purpose of why your communities have these. Says that, the purpose of this ordinance is to protect public health, safety and welfare by regulating the accumulation of. Let's see, I read it wrong.
No, you were right.
And I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Other part.
Junk vehicles, garbage and other materials that may pose hazards, create unsightly conditions, or negatively affect property values within the community. So that's the broader purpose. What the specifics are, again, this is well-traveled road with other communities in terms of what would be viewed as something that create an unsafe situation, or negatively impact your neighbor's property values because of how you choose to maintain or not maintain your property.
Yeah. Maybe this would help because it's a criminal statute, it would be handled like every other alleged crime is law enforcement, whether on their own or through a complaint, would do an investigation. They would, submit it to me or whoever the town attorney is, and then we would make a decision. But I think one thing to remember is the standard is you've got to meet, whatever the definition is, beyond a reasonable doubt. It's pretty high standard. That's criminal law. And then if it's disputed, then ultimately it would be judged against and that would have a trial on it and make a determination. So it wouldn't be, it could be, councilman could go by and see something and call the chief and say, I think this is a nuisance, and chief would open up a case and but it's just the mere fact that somebody else thinks it's a nuisance doesn't make it a nuisance. I think a councilman, Harmon's brother, who worked at the mine with my father, and they always had what they called crummies to drive to the mine, and they'd park them out, and it almost looked like an abandoned vehicle, but they drove it every day. So, what's the, and it's always, it's Councilman Day, the nuisance ordinances, you run along the feeling of, this is my property and I'll do with it what I want. That's why I live in Wyoming. No one's going to tell me what to do. That's why we're all here. But then you have to balance with, okay, am I interfering with the use, somebody else's use, or am I putting the public at risk? It's a tough thing for councilmen and or councils and commissioners and all of that. So
It's a tough thing for communities.
it is.
What we're getting at, there's in our town, we've got some places that are an absolute eyesore and some that are getting there. Okay. And we want to eliminate that.
Or at least mitigate.
That's kind of the, but there on the other hand, though, too, you're infringing on people, their private property stuff. And I know there's a fine line there, but you're under trial. We go about it in another way.
I think if it's a concern, then you as the legislative branch, you get to decide what. But the mere fact that you pass something, I guess I just wanted to say it's a big difference, and I think the chief would agree with me on this, than getting a fine or something. That's, for example, I forget, there's one section in there that talks about one of the definitions, if it lowers the property value of those around you. Like, as an attorney, how do I prove that beyond a reasonable doubt? I bring in a bunch of experts to testify, to my good friend Judge Jensen, who's going to do all he can to make my life miserable, beyond a reasonable doubt. So my point is, if you have an ordinance, then the idea is to give some leverage, to apply some common sense. When you give this, in there, I think you have a proposed, you give notice, looks like you informally. And to me, when I've seen these nuisance, when I was a county attorney, it's to really push forward, it has to be a pretty bad situation, but it does give you the ability to address those real bad situations. You don't have an ordinance and it doesn't matter how bad it is, you may not have the ability.
So do you suggest we move forward with this, the way we're going?
And I'm already, you've got me in so much trouble.
That's what it's making the big bucks.
You know,
So you know, you make more than all of us.
until I pay my overhead. Well, I think you'll need it, and here's an example, the county had me a year or two go look at a place in Star Valley where they were running like an illegal trailer court, and there was garbage and terrible things going on there, but they didn't have an ordinance in place that they could address it. And the state statute did, so I had to say, there's nothing you can do, and now it's grandfathered in, you should have done something a long time ago. So I guess you want to address something, so you at least have something. And that's your decision what that is, but if you don't have anything and you have a terrible situation and then try to pass something, then it's grandfathered in.
So that reminds me what you just said. Because I know there's a long time. What grandfathers things in? How long does something have to be worse and getting worser all the time? Worser, but before we can do something about it, or do we wait too long and we can't?
Well, I think the state statute uses the term grandfathered as being in a what's the word, a non-conforming use for a year. And if there's any material change, like, here's the thing, let's say there's a nuisance that's a bad nuisance, I don't know, making this up. It's really a dangerous situation, you pass this. And then they say, well, listen, we're grandfathered in. Well, if there's any material change, they add more stuff or whatever, they're not grandfathered in. So
what do you do? Take a picture of it?
well, that's hard to prove, you know.
Can you pass an ordinance and then after you have the ordinance in place, name things that fit the criteria after the ordinance has been passed, even if they were pre-existing?
You mean make it retroactive?
Well, let's say there's
So,
property A is what it is. You pass an ordinance, you decide that property A fits your criteria, if you name it after you pass the ordinance, even if it was already present.
No, that's the grandfather. If it's been used for a year or more like that. But if there's any material change in that use or the condition, it's
But
not.
there's like lack of.
Well, I guess I would say a material change in the condition of the property, but yeah, it would be difficult to go in after the fact. Something, let's say something's been there 10 years and then pass an ordinance and now say it's a nuisance.
Would something like broken windows qualify as material change?
That, you know, that's something that my.
Here's like watch certain properties slowly change for the last.
Here's my excuse all the time. I have total immunity like the town. I'm surprised to have it. But if I try to be an investigator, I can get sued. So I'm just like, not an investigator. So the chief will give me all that information. And if he said, you know, this building's been abandoned for 5 years. However, after the ordinance was passed, more windows got broke out. There's homeless people living in it. Then I would probably say that's not a pre-existing use. And ultimately the judge would get to decide and I can make my arguments.
so,
does that, sorry, real quick question. So adding to it or removing from it, does that change that stat?
Yeah, you know, it would depend on really what I thought I could already be going forward with it. If I anticipated that was a defense.
So what is already in violation now is whatever our law is right now, which we already have a nuisance law.
Right.
What we're trying to do is
clean it up, make
clean it up and define it so that a 4-year-old can say, that's in violation. You know what I mean? Like any normal prudent person would say, there's an issue there. But if we have a problem already, we just have to stick with what our ordinance is now, because it's not grandfathered, and just go that route.
Well, you're amending the current ordinance, aren't you? You're not.
Yes, we're not making it new, and we're just amending it to be more defined.
Yeah, no, you're okay with that, and we will, because you're really arguing. Your nuisance isn't really addressing non-conforming uses like zoning law. And that's where the grandfather comes in, you're addressing under your power of health, safety, and welfare.
Right. So,
We'd be based dog to death, that's the one slipping on.
so I still do.
Just make a motion, do whatever we need to do.
So basically, there are two, the mayor had proposed some ideas and I did some research and some, basically to add some other things to be more specific. And so this might be, again, a work.
This is-
Work meetings, to just determine kind of how to integrate what's happening now and get new ideas, and think something that we all can support. So that was it sounded like this is a good time to do that.
So, what,
I'll make a motion.
okay,
Sound good? I make a motion that we table the nuisance ordinance 2505 until we have a work meeting.
I'll second.
motion table, second, motion table by Brad, second by Charles. All in favor of tabling it?
Aye.
Aye.
No one opposed, no unanimous, so motion carried. All right, we are in section 11, reports of officers, boards and committees. Councilor Major up first with the streets and grounds.
I've talked to the public works director, and at this time, there's really not much we can do, just to wait the weather into the spring. But when the spring does thaw, we're gonna start looking at where we need to make changes. There has been dirt and things that we've had to fill certain holes, just temporary until we can do things in general. We'd like to address any situation we can with the snow. I think that's something we probably, it would be an easy addressment, I think, that we could maybe help there as far as that. We'd have to make sure that, there's time and ability for this public works to do it. But other than that, I think it's pretty good, and all of our facilities at this point, it's covered by snow, so it's buildings that no one's brought any attention to.
Good. All you have,
That's all I have.
what it was.
Jan, I have a question. When is spring break? For Easter break? Do we not have one?
The schools don't have one
They
this year.
don't have one? So,
Extended weekends.
extended weekends, yeah. Yeah, so, okay, I wondered because it's, Easter's kind of late this year. And I've been looking at the calendar to try and, one thing about when you try and have an Easter egg, but you gotta do it around everything. And I looked at the calendar and I really need some advice from the community. When would be a good time for the Easter egg hunt? And if the weather is like it is right now, if the mayor's okay with it, we'll have to have it in the building again. Because we went ahead and had it outside last year and the kids about froze to death. And 20 minutes of Easter egg hunt was done and it took us an hour and a half to put everything out there.
They don't go anyway.
You probably shouldn't have left the eggs white either.
We used colored plastic ones and we just laid them there and the kids went bush, but but then we had to postpone all the prizes, see, because it was too cold. So I need some community advice on when to have Easter egg hunts.
So Easter is April 20th.
Yeah, Easter's April. In July. In July, yeah. Do what? I think Jen's looking up something for us.
I mean, you've got
high school track away on the 19th, but there's nothing else really. I mean, that's really all the school has is track going on. So and where it's that late in April, you may be able to do it outside.
Okay, so there's nothing that Saturday before Easter.
Just high school track is at North Logan. But that's gonna be such a few people that you'd be. That would be adventures.
So then, yeah.
Yeah.
So the 19th.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking about when I was looking, trying to figure out what they were. And so I'm thinking April 19th would be a good day for an Easter egg hunt.
With as late as it is in the month of April, it might be warm enough to do that outside.
It might be.
I remember my kids doing it out on top of snow when you were with the elementary. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what we did last year, and it was pretty nice up till then, and then the day before, we had that freezing, everything, these kids got frozen.
And it could happen.
So, okay, we'll do the Easter egg hunt on the 19th. So, thank you, see, community effort, awesome, appreciate it. And that's as far as I'm going, just to that phone, worrying about anything else right now. But I do want to say, community people, when you talk to people in the community, Miss Thane back there, I need your help with things and putting things together, like our program last year with the soccer. I put that in the hands of parents and they took care of it. They decided what days to have it. And it stretched into a month instead of 2 weeks, and it worked better for everybody, and they took a week's vacation in between, but the parents were the one that decided that. Because this isn't Teresa's thing, I just get to represent the council, but it's the community thing. And so, yeah, I welcome community input. So. Just saying. Nope, that's it.
Wayne?
I see we must have got the water issue fixed. I haven't seen water run down the bar pit lately. Like, so. What, have they give you any idea, Mike, when they want to come and test, turn the water in that?
No,
Still no, they still don't. So that's good. I'd rather wait till it warms up anyway.
There's still a few minor punch list items to be done.
Yeah. So. As far as water and sewer goes, that's good. The airport, I was on the airport yesterday and they've done a good job of plowing it and it's open, so. I imagine it's getting a little soft, but. I wouldn't recommend going out there and try and plow now if it snows, because you might leave some ruts and stuff. Let Mother Nature fall what snow gets on. I think you do the pad and stuff.
yeah,
But other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape there.
Good.
Okay, a couple quick items. Section relates to Teresa, so we posted for rec intern from the University of or BYU. Didn't get a response. We have some leads with the University of Wyoming through Paul King, and I think that's part of this whole equation is you know who's the boots on the ground. Maybe Teresa gets to run her stuff around, get all summer, being the rec manager.
That works.
Or you can find someone else to help with that. Second thing on the Vista, that application is March 27th. This is thinking for a concept paper. This is that individual that we can pay for a year, or not we, they're paid by the federal government for a year. And so we first need to have, which is called a concept paper, just broadly speaking, a projected project that would meet their criteria. And I just need the town's email number to be outside. You can either do it through the clerk or through me. Someone has to go in and be able to set their account so you can submit the broad application.
Is this the same thing as the internship program?
It's
Okay. It's different. Okay.
This is kind of where Laura came from.
Right.
Try and hire someone locally. We
Okay.
talked about that last time. If you look at the master plans, we've met 3 times on this, and Teresa and I have worked with some others in the community. This is essentially just trying to scope this out. There's some things that we're really close on. You can kind of, cross the finish line with just some editing and some getting some feedback from some individuals. Other things, we don't have anything in place. And it's gonna take probably a grant and probably a year more to do that. So we want to focus on low-hanging fruit. Some of the steps, CEO is kind of determine what's the level of community engagement. The community's kind of been involved in plans in the past. They've given feedback over the past number of years. And so the plans that we have reflect that feedback from those who participated. One of the things we could look at doing is doing another just online community assessment, a little more comprehensive, including housing, and address some of these other issues. There are pros and cons to that. But on the con side, people say, well, we've done this, we haven't seen a lot of progress. On the pro side, it's good to have good data to try and generate some consensus about what the real interest in within the community. So that would be hard to do, is putting together a formal assessment. And this may be a work meeting conversation as to whether the council thinks we should or we should not. One thing you usually have your master plans, community profile, demographics. I think I shared with you last time, there's some real concerning things. It shows in 2028 currently we have 5 kindergarten kids coming to school. Okay. And then after that about 10 and so forth. So there's, your schools are funded by population, it's part of the overall health of the community. So the 1.3s, 1.4s, 1.5s, these are the major elements, typically of the master plan: economic community development, parks and rec, transportation, infrastructure, public works. They have history and cultural preservation, housing, land use and zoning, and communication plans just generally how to keep people involved, how to keep the relevant stakeholders apprised of what progress is being made. So one question I have of the council is, if you look at those from 1.13 to 1.17, are those the right elements that you think need to be in the plan? Is there something missing? Things that you think that shouldn't be in there? Again, this is really bare bones at this point. But do you have any opinions on this? And I'll just read these out. You have economic development, parks and recreation, transportation, infrastructure, public works, history and cultural preservation, housing, land use and zoning. Those essentially are the broad categories of plans. So each one requires a different discipline for how the plans are developed. Some of them we're 70–80% there. Others we've probably not even touched. But if you're talking about master plan, these are typically the components of a master plan.
Charles?
Yes.
And I just wanted to share with everybody some of the things that we've been doing to kind of give us templates that we go into other communities that have been our size and how they've grown and what they've done. And I spent the other day, like I told Billy, over in Marbleton the other day, and I remember Marbleton when it was the size of Cokeville. My grandparents were there, and I went to high school in Clinton. But it used to be just a little teeny tiny town, but somehow or other, they got the community all together. Everybody worked really hard. I've known the past 3 mayors in Marbleton, and they said they were always appreciative of the community. And they came to the meetings and they were willing to have those committees. And what? I'm sorry.
It's gonna be hard to hear you on Zoom.
Oh.
We're talking.
Oh, and so this week I went to Marlton, and they shared with me, and this is just ideas that that this is what they do, but this is like a template to help us get to where we need to be. And this first one is just their executive summary of their master plan for the water. And then this 200 pages is the master plan for the water. And so, and there's a company that they've gone through, it's a rural water. What is that? Wyoming Association of Rural Water. They are grant-based, and they not only, this was done by Forsgren Engineering, and but this company they're grant-based, and they help people with stuff like that. They help the Cokevilleites, and they're not afraid to have somebody come and say, this is what we do, what can we do for you? But when I was over there Wednesday, the ladies in the office said, but what they were so impressed about is that the community came out and didn't leave it to the council to do, or little tiny committees. And so people were on 3 or 4 committees. And so that's what we're trying to do, so that our economic development portion of our town is better. And we talk about growth all the time, but growth doesn't happen until you clean up and fix up what you've got. And so everything we've talked about tonight is part of that cleaning up and fixing up. Because I've noticed there's a lot of families, people with families here that are moving here, and it's been beneficial to us. So that cover everything I
Yeah.
did?
Yeah,
Okay.
Thanks for making that trip. So again, do these look like the right elements? You think this thing, again, this is really still high level. Just trying to get the framework right.
All right, I need a definition, submit RFP. I got,
What's RFP?
yeah,
Oh, request for proposal. I think it's saying that's probably something we'd have to find some funding.
well, I have 37 different acronyms that RFP can fit, so I.
That's it. And you'll see it's gonna require probably, a couple of committees, this is gonna be done by 3 or 4 people. We have some good experience working on this, but we're gonna have to determine at what point to engage the community. And that's why I think a community assessment might make sense, because you can get a lot of information very efficiently, and it can guide, kind of go from there. So we're trying to meet about, when I'm not traveling, about once a week. Just usually meet around lunch, and when Teresa and myself and a couple of other individuals. On the 4th, I just want to give the update on the website. I did the application for the .gov, both for Cokeville.gov and Cokeville.wy.gov. Yeah, it's going to take a couple of weeks, it sounds like. So I've been working on the website. If after we adjourn, I can just bring out that big screen, or and just show you where it is. And just how you pick it apart. It's just like rough draft, but we could get some feedback just to the next level of the minutes. I think within, depending on when the .gov comes, it could be 2 to 4 weeks, and be ready to go with that.
I have it. So if you notice in your package, there's a couple of things in the conference table and some chairs. Just kind of a heading there, we were able to bring in quite a bit of money on the auction of the surplus stuff. I would propose that we utilize some of those funds to replace the cabins from tables and chairs.
That's a good idea.
I don't know if anybody in there sat in those chairs, but about every time I sit in there, I feel like I need a butt off, so. I think it's time for an upgrade, and we utilize these tables at work, and they're reconfigurable to multiple different things. Move them around, for trainings or whatever, so it might help for like the fire department, the EMS, when they utilize the building to do their stuff, or
Is that a hole in the middle?
Yeah.
it's just the way so there's 6 tables there.
Oh, okay,
They're all
And one
together.
configuration there,
okay. and
and then these chairs are just, they come in a 10 pack, so that's becomes more cost effective to buy them.
Yeah.
You know,
Sounds good. We can leave it for that room.
the council's okay with that, I think that's something we ought to proceed with.
I know, I'm fine with that.
Need a motion,
Do we need a motion for it?
purchase.
I would appreciate a motion to,
Right.
it's kind of a purchase, yes.
Well, then I move that we purchase the chairs and tables to upgrade the conference room.
Where does that funding come from?
The-
I know the auction, but where did it go and what fund did it go in?
It goes into the miscellaneous revenue.
Okay, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it's under the miscellaneous fund?
Mhm.
The revenue was miscellaneous.
Right.
Miscellaneous revenue.
And is there a chance you can contact them to see if you get a town discount or donation or something? I know some places would do that.
These are just numbers I got off of Amazon. And just trying to show a picture. I'll do some serious research on where you get them, but I know when you contact, because I do office buildings all the time for my job. And as soon as you contact them and tell them if you're gonna buy 20 office chairs, they go, yeah, that's not enough, I don't care. So we run into this all the time. I think we're probably gonna, for the best bang for our buck, we're probably gonna end up having to utilize something like Amazon or ordering one deal like that.
Is
Yeah.
there,
You know,
is there an amount you want us to approve?
I would say about $5,000 would be sufficient enough.
Not to exceed 5,000?
Yeah. Also, guess we have that motion right still.
Yeah, there's no second, I don't think.
You have a second,
I'll second.
any further discussion? All in favor of making that purchase not exceeding $5,000? Any opposed? Motion carries. Also, we are rapidly approaching budget season. So what I asked the department heads and then the councilman over their department, look over the budget, see where they're sitting at currently, what we gotta be worried about and address. And be prepared to discuss that. I'd like to probably start having a work meeting on to hash out this budget. We can include this nuisance ordinance, we can include the master plan. I would propose to the first Thursday of the month. Or the Thursday prior to council. That allows maybe some additional stuff that maybe comes in.
Days that.
Sixth day of next month,
So it would be the 3rd of April.
yeah, April 3rd. If we can do that Thursday, it allows, because we submit all of our stuff to the council to review on the Tuesday.
That Thursday might be hard for me.
Okay,
Maybe the Wednesday that week. Just the day ahead.
I could make that work. Anybody else have any issues with that? And I'd also like to. I don't know if we can start my schedule, but if we could do it in like the early afternoon so that
Yeah, I agree.
we're not having Jody come in at night or whatever.
It's gonna say, because the chamber is there, you have that first Wednesday, so
Oh, yeah.
you're, okay.
Yeah, so like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon work for everybody. Two.
2nd of April. Work meeting.
I have a question, if we have work meetings, do we need? This is our consideration, Julie, trying to have dinner and having the life after work. Are we able to have a work meeting for one of us takes the notes, or do we need to have a clerk taking the notes?
Yeah, but in the day.
I'm just thinking, Joe, let's just.
So typically, we're supposed to have the clerk that take notes. There are gonna be occasions in life where life happens and she can't be present. At that one, I would appoint someone to take the minutes. Yeah, and it could be, it's basically anybody that can write. That does leave a few folks out, I understand.
So is there still an open motion?
So April 2nd at 2 p.m. Huh?
It's third.
Second, right?
2nd Wednesday.
Change it to Wednesday.
Oh, so April 2nd, no.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Eric, did you have anything more to bring up for police?
No, anything else.
Good. Mike, do you have anything more for public works?
No.
Good. Just as a matter of reference, I haven't got the final number yet, but we're over 32,000 on our auction. What we're bringing in revenue. So
Good.
the final numbers aren't quite all the way through, so till that happens. I will caution as well. We talked about our budget. There was some legislative stuff that happened this year that is most likely going to affect our budget and what we have for available funds. We won't quite know the impact probably for another month and a half or two. But as we review our budget, maybe we ought to keep that in mind and see where we can kind of crimp some strings if we need to. Just going forward. With that, is there anything else we feel like we need to bring forward?
Again, just if I could borrow the council for 5 minutes after, maybe we'll just go in the other room, I can share the website. Get your feedback, or anyone else that wants to provide feedback.
We can look, you can roll that TV in here too.
Yeah, let's just go grab it, will it in now, okay, while the meeting's open.
You take this.
Thanks, Davis. Thanks, Bentley. Was it?
So you'll take those and sign the company. Thank you. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
We were right.
I have patience.
I was like, I get out. Just 5 days. So just sits indoors. I got
Already had, so still much interesting.
Where is Dad right now? Okay. Oh. Ow, got so sick.
Because we don't keep it baby.
Well, it's a one.
Over there.
Over here, I guess.
Yeah.
That's sad. You'll be all back. Now I'm real. Sorry.
I gotta leave, I gotta leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that on your brain, right?
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you, sir.
How much do you like that?
Yeah.
Did you love basketball?
No.
Not over.
How are you?
Yeah. It's actually. 6 people. Yeah, sometimes.
Like, what do you want stuff? It's fun. Okay, moving in.
Yeah.
So see. Leave here, over there, popcorn. I'm just glad it's that. I can make it council.
I just want to remind everybody, we're still are zooming, so. Don't turn it too far. You can back it all the way up. Just back it up here. It's fine. Right there.
We call them. Yeah, that's.
So with some of when we started doing the website, they were pretty just static and, they're informational if people found it, if they knew where to go and all those things. And the nice thing about some of the new technology, even the system that the town's currently tied to, is it can be really quite a good information system, communication system. So people can go to the site and you'll get essential information just as they have now. You can send out emails to everyone with the town email. You can send texts. You can see data. You can see your level of engagement. Are people reading things? Are they valuing it? You can connect all your things to social media. It's a pretty powerful system. Again, the town's already, there's no additional budget expense. So what I did was I used developers all the time from all over the world. I think this guy was like Bangladesh or something. And I started looked at different websites that seemed to be interesting and said, and basically so took the Cody, Wyoming town website and he cloned it. And then I've just been editing and changing and things like this. Don't love the picture. We need to get better images, right? Compelling images. So I'm not in love with that.
This is beta.
This is beta. Absolutely. So you have your home, and then you can scroll down. Says the latest news, and I started just putting in some basic things. Coca-Cola Home name top 5 the state. Some of it still has stuff from Cody. Yeah. So I get to update all those things, but you just go in and just edit it like you're doing now. You just go find the pages that you need to look at. We need to tie calendar to that, and you probably already know how to do that.
No,
Okay.
I don't think.
I started exploring it, but
It's been hard.
Eric, have you haven't typed?
Calendar?
Yeah. No, I don't. Neither of
Okay.
us.
I think you figured it out.
Yeah. So all the links aren't completely working. Like we still have the photo of Cody and so forth, but it has this guy. Like I said, he went through. It's like under government. I don't know if we need photos of everyone. Teresa's the only one that has a fashion shoot.
Hey, there you go, fashion shoot.
But okay, this is updated. Let's see how this is the department. So it's
Good
I
picture.
like that.
I like that.
so this
Look at the green ones.
I like it.
some of these your coastal community co-op, there's probably nothing really there. Contact us, and Jody, you said you wanted, we could have a whole page just for contacting about courts, things like that. Just, it's really easy to add things. Under government, you have, the ordinance. And he went in and did the ordinances, so I think this is current. You have links, download, the PDF for all those. Have, city council meetings. Right there.
We are hoping to. We haven't talked about it as a council, but one of the ideal goals would be for you to. You can go into your account, find out where you are on your city bills and all that type of stuff. Take care of anything there. So it's more self-service.
So you have services.
They can pay their bill.
Wix is really, either it has a system where it you can create an app and a connection with other things. There's one living and visiting. We have, let's make sure we're forward somewhere. We have all the Airbnbs, all the hotel contacts, all the guides and outfitters and things like that listed in a template. I need to add that from kind of a tourism standpoint. So if you want to draw upon the tourism board, but the lodging funds, then you can, fund enhance these type of things. Like I said, this is beta, but
That's definitely good.
that's big. We have to get that picture of land. There we go.
There's a
There's a call. And then doing business, we don't really popular business probably so
it's like three pictures that are big business. Oh, no, there's more than that. We're gonna get them all on there.
So we'll create the links on social media accounts, just so Facebook's there. Like I said, you can create the links to the past.
Greg's place.
Meetings, whatever we have. Again, just so far.
I got the flying J.
The measure of success with something like this is engagement. Do people actually go there to use it, they find it valuable or not? And so we'll be able to track that quite easily. And then just, brainstorm other ways to actually use this kind of mechanism to proactively communicate to the community, easily so they know what's happening. They're more likely to be involved.
Charles, you talked about tourism and Larry's noticed up at Pine Creek, we've had a lot of people from out of state and not just Utah. We've had people from Wisconsin, we had people from Maine and New York last week. And they had business to do in Salt Lake, but before they flew back east, they came skiing at Pine Creek. And they asked Larry, they asked Larry, so can we bring up Cokeville's website? And he said, ask my wife. Well, so there you go. People are asking. We've had a lot of people this year out of state.
When you have something that's more up to date and not archaic, and it looks like it's, then you're gonna have more in response.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's the goal.
So it can have links there, to Pine Creek Ski Lift, to the rodeo, Oakville rodeo. Again, we can put any kind of links there if you want.
Good.
So, but feel, yeah, I don't know if we can put this on the town, on the Facebook page or something like that. And I have no ego here, just you just beat it up.
Yeah.
Because we want it to actually be useful for the community.
Good.
So,
Thanks.
we'll just show you what we have linked for the rodeo and the ski lifts. Some of these things, the links don't really exist, but it's got the basic stuff. So anyway, I just want to share that kind of progress with you. Like I said, probably won't go live for a couple of weeks until we got the .gov settled. So
Cody's okay,
Cool.
awesome.
Thank you, sir. Awesome.
Ready for the motion to adjourn?
Sure.
I move that we adjourn.
Oh, she beat you to it. You were saying.
I second it.
All in favor?
Hi.
Question, my love.
Want to thank everybody who was on Zoom.